singing the praises of papal agents like Charles Carroll, or noting that he was the central figure in a Nicolas Cage movie, the leader of the Family Research Council is Tony Perkins, a former Marine. Tony does updates. Very interesting. Kathy, would you play that for me? Perkins brags on Charles Carroll. I think I've got it.
You've heard of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison, but what about Charles Carroll? Hello, I'm Tony Perkins with the Family Research Council in Washington. Chances are, if you've ever heard of Charles Carroll, it was in the 2004 Disney movie National Treasure. In it, he was shown as the last living signer of the Declaration of Independence. But what you might not know is that Charles Carroll was a great actor in the fight for American freedom. Carroll was a chief opponent of the Stamp Act, served on the Continental Congress, signed the Declaration, helped write the Maryland Constitution, and supported religious freedom. As a Catholic, he fought for voting rights for Catholics in Maryland. George Washington admired Carroll so much that Washington asked Carroll to accept his resignation from the military in 1783. Carroll was, quote, a leader in a generation of leaders. Politicians today would do well to study the values of faith and freedom displayed by men like Carroll, who helped shape our nation. For more, go to TonyPerkins.com.
Wow. So who do you think George Washington was answering to? He resigned his commission to Charles Carroll. When they're trying to deceive you, they let things out. You lost your mouse. There it is, there it is. There. Did it time out? All right. That was me doing that, right? Okay, good. All right, there's one of the Carrolls. That's John Carroll. He was a Jesuit. Oh, when Tony Perkins says that Charles Carroll supported religious freedom, what he meant to say is that Charles Carroll helped create the satanic secular universalist cesspool that is here in America today. Again, what we need is separation of Satan and state. We don't need separation of Christ and state. We will not have success unless Christ is the foundation of everything that we do. We do not seek to mandate everyone be a Christian, but we seek to mandate Jesus Christ as the foundation of our government. We can do that and still provide liberty of conscience and freedom of worship in this country. When you create the secular state, and I see people who are they are in on this information, and they still don't get it. They think the secular state is the answer. He created the secular state. The Carrolls created the secular state so that everywhere around the world, when the Jesuits and the Catholics were interfering and getting kicked out, he guaranteed that they would have a home in America. Because rather than rely on the Jesus Christ of the Protestant Bible, we opened it up everywhere. And now we have Baphomet in the Florida and Oklahoma state capitals. You tracking that? They took down the Ten Commandments and put Baphomet up. We're going to talk about the Baphomet a little bit. Might be a little late tonight. What's even more disturbing is that Washington gave Carroll his resignation, which we just covered. I didn't even know that. John Carroll, Jesuit priest. John founded a little home for boys that he named Georgetown. Georgetown turned into a Jesuit university. And there's the prose from that nice little cut. Oh, Disney, national treasure. Do we even go there? Don't have the time. Disney, demonic. Roy Disney. Did you know Roy Disney was made given the Order of St. Gregory? He was done the same day that Rupert Murdoch was given the Order of St. Gregory, the same day that Bob Hope, who was a child predator and a CIA puppet. Read my book. Oh, who went to Georgetown? All right, deep breath. King Abdullah of Spain, Ricardo Arias, President of Panama, Jose Manuel Barroso, President of the European Commission, Prime Minister of Portugal, Tony Anaya, Governor of New Mexico, Coleman Bliss, Governor of South Carolina, James Boggs, Governor of Delaware, United States Congressman John Carroll, Governor of Maryland, great-grandson of Charles Carroll, just keep it in the family. Michael Castle, Governor of Delaware, Mitch Daniels, Governor of Indiana, Christopher Del Sesto, Governor of Rhode Island, Michael DeSalle, Governor of Ohio, William Flynn, Governor of Rhode Island. Is that Keating? Yeah, James Higgins, Governor of Rhode Island. Frank Keating. Do you get the sense that the Jesuits have a lock on Rhode Island? Good old Frank Keating of Oklahoma. We skip John Lynch. Oh, got to write John Lynch in. Missing. John Lynch, Governor of New Hampshire. Terry McAuliffe, Governor of Virginia, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee. James McGreevy, who we in New Jersey, I'm from New Jersey. We used to call him Jim McGreedy. Steve Merrill, Governor of New Hampshire. Luis Marin, Governor of Puerto Rico, known as the father of Madam Puerto Rico. Philip Noel, Governor of Rhode Island. James Shannon, Governor of Connecticut. Pat Quinn, Governor of Illinois. Don Siegelman, Governor of Alabama. John Spellman, Governor of Washington. And Roger Altman, Deputy Secretary of the Treasury. Patrick Joseph Buchanan, advisor to Nixon, Ford, Reagan, White House Communications Director, 85 to 87, nationally syndicated political pundit. Douglas Feith, Undersecretary of Defense. Robert Gates, Secretary of Defense, Director of Central Intelligence, President of the Boy Scouts. That's creepy if you know anything. Alexander Haig, brother of Frank, is a Jesuit, Secretary of State, Supreme Allied Commander, Europe, Reagan White House Chief of Staff, CEO, United Technologies. Mickey Cantor, Jewish, Secretary of Commerce, U.S. Trade Representative, leftist high trader behind NAFTA, Patrick Kennedy. You figured he would have figured things out after the Jesuits have killed so many of his family. Undersecretary of State. Oh, wait, I think that's Kennedy is not related. Ron Klain. Interesting. Barack Obama's Ebola response coordinator. Isn't that interesting? Did you know that the response coordinator was a Jesuit graduate? Jacob Jack Lew, also Jewish, Secretary of the Treasury for Barack Obama, White House Chief of Staff, Director of Office of Management Budget, Office of Management and Budget, Deputy Secretary of State, almost $700,000 severance from NYU. Boy, it pays to be on the inside. Dan Pfeiffer, White House Communications Secretary, Director of Senior Advisor to Barack Obama. Barack Obama sure does like these Jesuit-trained individuals. John Podesta, Counselor to Barack Obama, President and CEO, Center for American Progress, Chief of Staff to Bill Clinton. George J. Tenet, Director of Central Intelligence, the man who murdered 3,000 Americans on 9/11. Robert Wilkinson, Secretary of Defense. David Abishai, United States Permanent Representative to NATO, co-founder, Center for Strategic and International Studies, advisor Ronald Wilson Reagan. Shlomo Agarov, Jewish Israeli ambassador to the United Kingdom, Netherlands, and Mexico. Boy, there's an awful lot of Jewish guys getting an education from Jesuit Georgetown. Thomas J. Dodd, United States Senator, ambassador to Costa Rica. Oh, my goodness. I thought I had covered the Dodd crime family by now. I guess he's later on in my notes. There's some fun stuff right there. Lee Feinstein, Jewish, senior official to Obama and Clinton administrations, United States ambassador to Poland. Mark Ginsburg, Jewish, United States ambassador to Morocco. Mark Gittenstein, Jewish United States Ambassador to Romania. Alfred Moses, Jewish United States Ambassador to Romania. Francis Rooney, United States Ambassador to the Holy See. Not possible until the administration of Ronald Wilson Reagan. Zev Sufot, Jewish, first Ambassador of Israel to China. That's helpful. Ambassador of Israel to the Netherlands. Antonin Scalia, Supreme Court Justice Edward White, Chief Justice. Dick Durbin, Majority Whip, Senate Minority Whip, Senator from Illinois. Mark Kirk, Senator from Illinois. Jesuits had a lock in Illinois. Edward Leahy, United States Senator from Rhode Island. Patrick Leahy Leahy, United States Senator from Vermont. As Vice Chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Leahy outed Egyptian counter-terror operators, getting at least one killed. He leaked Reagan plans to overthrow Gaddafi and has traveled Nicaragua and Cuba to personally assist communists there. Great guy. He definitely got the message from the Jesuits. George Mitchell, United States Senator from Maine. Senate Majority Leader, Judge, U.S. District Court of Maine, Special Envoy to Northern Ireland, Chancellor of Queen's University, Belfast, Special Envoy to the Middle East. That's very helpful. Chairman of the Disney Committee. There's Disney again. Lisa Murkowski, United States Senator from Alaska. Daddy is Frank Murkowski. Did you follow that race that she stole from a good guy by the name of Joe Miller? We have a ruling class. When you have Dodd after Dodd, Bush after Bush, Murkowski after Murkowski, isn't this why we fought the Revolution? James Webb, United States Secretary of Virginia, Secretary of the Department of the Navy under Reagan. John Dingell, 50 years in the House. They got to wake this guy up to get his vote. John, yes. No, yes. General Joseph F. Dunford, United States Marine Corps, named by Obama to be Commander, United States and NATO forces in Afghanistan, Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, Commander of the Marine Corps Marine Corps Forces, Central Command, Commanding General 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, named by Obama to take over the Joint Chiefs of Staff from Irish Catholic, excuse me. Let me catch up here. Dempsey, Martin Dempsey. I didn't have that written down. Where are all these guys coming from? Boy, for a Muslim communist, Barack Obama sure loves these Jesuit-trained Catholics. Over from editing on the fly, Martin Dempsey. Also, we have David Petraeus, Director of Central Intelligence Agency, Commander of International Security Assistance Force, Commander of U.S. Special Forces, U.S. Forces in Afghanistan, Commander of United States Central Command, Commander of Multinational Forces Iraq. And various and sundry generals, admirals, congressmen, congresswomen, royalty, actors, actresses, media pundits, and oh yeah, William Jefferson Clinton. Oh, this is one Jesuit university. There are 28 more. And that doesn't count all the universities the Jesuits teach in overtly and all the other universities Jesuits teach in covertly. Oh yeah, back to George Washington. You ready for this, Mike? Who did George Washington really serve? At age 16, George Washington copied the 110 Rules for Morals and Good Manners, and the manuscript is preserved by the Library of Congress. While some believe they were authored by Washington himself, it appears they were originally written by French Jesuits in 1595. Well, how did Washington get a hold of them? Leonard Neale, Society of Jesus, President of Georgetown, consecrated by John Carroll, first Catholic Bishop of the United States, the second Archbishop of Baltimore. Our first president, this is from Catholicism.org. Our first president, George Washington, died a Catholic. While he lay on his deathbed, he sent his slaves across the Potomac to bring back his close friend, Jesuit Father Leonard Neale. Neale spent some time alone in the president's sick room. When he returned to the Jesuit house, his fellow religious asked him the outcome of his visit, and he simply answered, "Everything has been taken care of." The entire story is related in the Jesuit annals. That's why you're not allowed to see this. The Negro slaves who had been imbued with Baptist anti-Catholic bigotry passed on the story that Master George has been seduced by the Scarlet Woman of Rome. Our first president had always kept a beautiful picture of Our Lady in his living room. He adopted the Catholic practice of blessing himself before meals. He was the largest contributor, giving more than even Bishop Carroll to the building of St. Augustine's Church in Philadelphia. He very often attended Mass and often told his troops that if they did not refrain from abusing the holy name of Jesus, they would surely lose the war. That's George Washington died a Catholic, Catholicism.org. Oh, and by the way, I verified his contribution to St. Augustine's. That's from the church website themselves. On the 5th of November, 1775, Continental Army Commander-in-Chief General George Washington stopped his troops planning a celebration of the British anti-Catholic holiday Guy Fawkes Night. In his general orders for the day, Washington criticized, quote, that ridiculous and childish custom, silly, of burning the Pope in effigy, part of the traditional Guy Fawkes celebration. Tell it to the Waldenses. Tell it to Jan Hus. He went on to express his bewilderment that there would be, quote, officers and soldiers in this army so void of common sense, and demanded expressions of, quote, public thanks to the Catholics, who Washington believed to be necessary allies, and wrote that he found, quote, monstrous any other action which might, quote, be insulting of the Catholic religion. There he is, member of the Hidden Hand, the founder of our nation. Oh, there's member of the Hidden Hand again. And, boy, he really wants to let you know he's a member of the Hidden Hand, doesn't he? Oh, there he is. He's got his little Freemasonic apron there. Oh, and what is this? That's a sunburst. Now, that G, what, does that stand for Gnosticism or Jesu? You be the judge. Click, click, click. It's cropping out on me again. There we go. There he is. Again, in full Masonic regalia at the dedication of the Capitol Rotunda. Chris Pinto does an excellent job of locking down the Freemasonic connection, but for some reason leaves the Jesuit thing out. Doesn't really get to the very top of the pyramid, as it were. In a letter to George Washington Snyder, the founder of our nation claimed that he hadn't really attended a lodge in some 30 years. Clearly, Freemasonry was not important to George Washington. And that he was unaware of an influence from a gentleman by the name of Adam Weishaupt or his newly formed Bavarian Illuminati. This is a quote from a quote. It's in my book, and I quote Edith Starr Miller, Occult Theocracy, Lady Queenborough. I believe it's Queensborough. The most infamous secret society to date is the Illuminati. It is a secret sect of Freemasonry. It's like a secret inside of a secret. It was founded the same year America declared her independence. To judge whether the two events are related, oh wait, this is me. Queenborough's coming up. To judge whether the two events are related, we must look at the creator of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt. Come to your answers. The Allgemeine Deutsche Biographie contains the biographical information of some 26,500 Bavarians of the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. It lists Jewish Adam Weishaupt as starting his education with the Jesuits at the tender age of 7. By the way, he was a convert to Catholicism. His family were converts. They weren't actual practicing Jews. Like Karl Marx to communism, the Jesuits cunningly manufactured a Jew as the figurehead of this infamous movement. Not only was Weishaupt Jesuit educated, he so excelled that he eventually became a professor of canon law at Jesuit-run Ingolstadt, and I believe that he was secretly ordained a Jesuit priest. I wanted to write that in there. Editing on the fly.